Around a year ago, I made a video titled 1 Year Bouldering Progress and 5 Tips for Starting Out. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you've probably seen this video. It's my most popular video to date, so I thought nearing the 2nd year anniversary of when I started bouldering, I'd film another video. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences that I've noticed between my 1st and my 2nd year of bouldering, as well as updating you with 4 more tips for starting out. Since these are tips that I've learned during my 2nd year, they are applicable to beginners absolutely, but also benefit intermediate level climbers as well. Diving straight into the differences, let's talk about the differences between my training between my 1st and my 2nd year, which was nothing. I would go to the gym around 2 to 3 times a week, see what was cool, boulder around a bit, and leave when I got bored, which was around an hour and a half. In the 1st year, this worked great. I went from climbing V1, V2 to climbing V5 and climbing 1 V6. But in the 2nd year, I kept this up and I didn't add any external training regimen such as like hangboard or campus board or anything like that, even weights. Who knows if I might have progressed faster if I adopted some of those things into my training routine, but I didn't really improve that much as far as grades are concerned. During that 1st year, V6 was more of like a fluke. This year, I project V6 pretty regularly every time the slab is reset. So every time there's a fresh set on the slab, I can pretty much always climb around 2 to 3 V6s. Notice how I said slab. I don't know whether or not the setters just set the slab a lot easier than the rest of the gym. I will selectively choose to believe that my technique is pretty good. So that's another difference between my 1st and my 2nd year, is that I feel like even though I didn't progress through the grades as much, I feel like my technique has gotten a lot better. And that kind of is manifesting in the way I'm progressing up the grades on the slab wall, because on the slab wall, it prioritizes a lot of like balancy movements, reachy movements, fancy footwork, somewhat. But now I feel like I can go up a slab on a somewhat harder intermediate level grade and feel somewhat graceful about it. Another thing I noticed in my last year is that I became way more comfortable climbing in front of other people. This is an ongoing struggle, but during my 1st year, I would really prefer to climb in the morning when the gym was completely deserted and when no one was watching me. But now I actually prefer to climb in the afternoon with some friends, with other people there, because I really feed off of the supportive energy. I know I'm not the only one who gets this bouldering anxiety as a beginner climbing in front of other people. So if you want me to make a separate video on how I got over that anxiety/fear, let me know in the comments. I have some notes written down somewhere, but I haven't made it into an actual video yet, and I kind of want to. The last kind of obvious thing that I've noticed is that moves that require a little bit more power and commitment, I feel a lot more comfortable doing now. I still have a long ways to go. Powerful moves are still like kind of my Achilles heel. I'm just gonna show you a clip here of when I just first was starting out, when I hit what I thought was like a gigantic dynamic move on a V3 that was set in my university's gym, versus maybe I have a clip like from today where I'm like 15 feet off the deck and I still make a pretty committing move. So learning how to latch onto holds after doing something a little bit more dynamic is something that I'm continuously learning how to do day after day, but I feel like it's something that I still have improved a lot from compared to my 1st year. Alright, now we're moving on to the tip section of the video. So my first tip is don't be intimidated of grades. Now, hold on. I'm not telling you to go find the most tendon-intensive climb with the most crimps in your gym. What I'm telling you is that there's nothing stopping you from just going on a climb that you might think is outside of your range and just trying 1 or 2 moves. You don't have to complete the climb in order for your body to learn something new. So once you kind of stop tying your skill level to the actual grade that you can completely send, you can start equating it to the number of techniques that you feel comfortable doing. And the way that you get comfortable doing these techniques is if you try them on harder climbs. While you might not be able to do the entire climb, if you just practice one slightly harder but doable move in isolation over and over again, you're still training your body all the same. And that kind of segues into my next point, which is learning how to do dedicated projecting. During the first year, you don't really have to climb that much in order to progress through the grades kind of quickly, depending on how your gym sets, of course. But once you start hitting those V5, V6 grades, in my experience at least, let me know if this is true for you as well, it becomes a lot harder to progress through the grades. You have to be comfortable trying a project again and again and again and coming back to it multiple times before you can actually send it. When I first was learning this, I got kind of discouraged because I do get bored kind of easily. So if I didn't send a climb within 4 or 5 times trying it, I just said, what the heck? I'm just gonna find another climb that's cooler that I can actually send, because clearly I can't send this one. This is the wrong attitude to have. It's really easy to get complacent with the grades that you're comfortable climbing in, but in order to progress through the grade, you kind of have to break out of your comfort zone a little bit. My third tip is working on your mental game. Regardless of whether or not you're climbing super high on the wall or staying low, there are risks and there are injuries that you can sustain if you don't have a good enough mental game. You can sprain your ankle from a fall that's like 2 feet. So in order to protect yourself, you need to adopt a strong mental awareness into your surroundings, into your own fears, into your own anxieties, and that's eventually gonna protect you from unsafe situations. The worst thing that you can do is be 15 feet off the deck, about to make a really committing move, and then get so scared that your hands are sweating and you have this like tunnel vision where you only see the next hold. You're freaking out, you go for it, and you miss it. Suddenly you don't have that awareness of your environment, of your body position, how you're going to rotate when you fall, whether or not you're gonna fall correctly. For those of you who do have this kind of fear when it comes to higher climbs, what I suggest is working your way up to it and gradually desensitizing yourself from those anxieties. So the way that I did this was, initially when I was quite scared of the slab, I would pick a grade that was comfortably below my maximum, and I would just climb that over and over again because I knew that I could get the moves, but just being that high up kind of still freaked me out. But doing those again and again gradually desensitized me and taught me how to think when I was up on the wall, because fear can make us think some pretty weird things, and they aren't always in our own self-serving interests. So learning how to quiet those fears while still acknowledging when you're in a scary situation is a really important thing to learn in climbing, and one that you should practice right away. My last tip is a fun one, and it is get involved in the community. Once I started saying hi to the people who were working at my gym, I haven't said hi to the setters yet because they're scary, but basically talking to as many people as you can and being aggressively friendly to everyone you meet at the gym, I started having so much more fun. I started going to a workout class where I met 2 of my best climbing friends. I definitely recommend that, because if you go to workout classes that are offered by your gym, if your gym offers them, not only are you going to become friends with whoever is running the workout class, but also the people who are regulars coming to that class as well. So those are just instant friends who already share your common interests and who maybe you can go outside with or hang out with on the weekend. I also know that some gyms offer specific groups for groups like women or queer people or people in other like underrepresented groups. So if your gym offers them, you can even check in your area, like where you live, to see if there are people who meet up who have your similar interests. That's also a good way of building community and meeting people who share your similar interests. Besides bouldering, of course. That's one of the best things about the climbing community anyway, is how inclusive and welcoming it is. So warm and fuzzy feelings and hugs towards each one of you who's watching this right now. Since we're nearing the end of the video, I guess I'm just gonna call this hashtag ends of Jen Sends. In the beginning of the video, I talked about how I didn't really have like a set training routine. I still don't. So I'm like quite the beginner when it comes to this. So I am curious, and I would like to know if you did start adopting other things into your training routine besides just climbing itself. You felt like they helped you a lot. I would love to know what they were. And if you're a beginner like me and you haven't started doing anything outside of just climbing, I want to know what you think is the most interesting or what you want me to cover, whether it be like hangboarding, campusing. I'm clueless. If you give me some suggestions on what to like research and make a video on, that would be much appreciated. This video was based on my 1-year bouldering progress video, which I will link around here. If you haven't seen it, if you're a new subscriber, it is my most popular video for a reason. I think there's a lot of value in it, especially for the beginner climber. I would love to see you around, and I hope you have a great week. All right, bye guys.